YNW Melly's mother is being accused of intentionally crying around the potential jurors' parking garage. The state filed a motion for inquiry of all pre-qualified jurors and motion for relief, which is a 7-page document that reveals one potential juror is a BSO county office employee, and another is a co-worker of Melly's mom. Yeah, these are some crazy odds that a BSO office employee got summoned as a juror, and Melly's mom's co-worker got summoned as a juror. Like, what are the odds of this? They probably won't make it to be an actual juror, but it's just wild. And apparently she's crying in front of jurors. Like fake crying is what they're hinting at, but who knows. I'm gonna read this document. If you're on my channel, subscribe from a Twitter, Instagram. Let's get right into this, boys. All right, so we got state's motion for inquiry of all pre-qualified jurors and motion for relief. Jury panel number 4 was the first group of 100 jurors brought up to the courtroom to be pre-qualified. Those who were available based on scheduling are set to return on November 6th, okay? Out of the 100 jurors, 12 jurors are set to return. Wow. So only 12% of the first 100 were set to return. That's actually a lot higher than I thought it would be for the first phase. Honestly, I thought it'd be like 5 every 100. Unbeknownst to the state, juror number 306 is a Broward Sheriff's Office employee. What? After being released as a juror, Juror 306 called BSO legal counsel Christian Tasabenos, or however you pronounce that, to inform him of concerning information she witnessed during her jury service. What are the odds of this BSO employee being called to be a juror there, or potentially be a juror? That's gotta be crazy odds. Juror 306 stated she witnessed a black female wearing blue scrubs sitting in the courtroom with the deputies while the jurors were being questioned. She indicated when all the jurors were leaving, she witnessed the same woman standing by the entrance to the doors. So scrubs. This is clearly about Melly's mom, because Melly's mom is a nurse, I believe, if you didn't know. She obviously was in the courtroom and like her work uniform. Courthouse on the 3rd floor where all the jurors walk in and out of, as that is where the jurors' parking is located. Juror 306 immediately recognized this woman as the same woman she observed sitting in the courtroom during jury selection, and her attention was drawn to her due to the fact that the female was observed to be obviously crying into a tissue as the jurors walked out. Okay, so now the state is laying this scene that a specific juror saw her crying where only the jurors walk in and out where the jurors park their cars. Okay, so here we go. Juror 306 indicated that the female was by herself and appeared very upset and was wiping her tears with the tissue. While the courthouse can be busy around standard lunch hours, panel 4 was not released until approximately 1:30. Defendant's mother, Jamie King, was present for jury selection on October 24th. Miss King was the only civilian non-juror sitting in the audience during jury selection was wearing blue scrubs. Okay, so now they're basically saying it was her, and standard lunch hours are only between 12 to 1. I don't know why that's relevant yet. It was also very apparent that Miss King was in and out of the courtroom throughout the proceedings throughout the day. Okay. At no point did Miss King appear to be upset or in distress during the proceedings. On the contrary, she appeared in good spirits at all times. In fact, at one point, Miss King saw a co-worker on the panel whom she discusses her son's case with. Her demeanor was giddy when she witnessed a juror walk in, and the state placed her behavior on the record. What? Okay. So apparently during the entire proceedings of jury selection, she was not crying at all. She was fine. And then she recognized a co-worker. What are the odds of her co-worker being called to be a juror? That's insane. Dude, like what? A BSO employee and the defendant's mother's co-worker? What's going on here? Like, what are the odds of all this shit? And she was apparently giddy. When initially asked if anyone heard of the case or the defendant's stage name, this particular juror coyly stated he had heard of it, insinuating he did not know much. It was only after being brought back in after a restroom break where Miss King could have been roaming the halls with this juror that he eventually came forward and indicated he knew the defendant's mother and elaborated on the relationship. Wow. For him to say he's only ever heard of it is pretty crazy when he knows Melly's mom. But okay, so where's this all going with her crying? The state also noted that Miss King left the courtroom prior to the jury's dismissal during the afternoon session of jury selection on October 24th. She also walked in late while the jurors were all in the hallway waiting to enter. Are they hinting that she's walked in late on purpose here? The state is aware that Miss King is typically dropped off in the front of the main entrance to the courthouse, which is nowhere near the jury parking garage. So they're hinting that she shouldn't even be near this entrance that they walk in and out of. The state is also aware that during the prior trial that individuals associated with the defendant loitered around the same area Miss King positioned herself while jurors were walking freely to their vehicles. So Melly's friend or family were standing around the same area that Miss King was crying, apparently, while jurors were walking around. That's kind of wild. I mean, if I was a juror, I'd be a little sketched out about the defendant's family and friends standing there. In my opinion, I'd be a little sketched out, but you know, I'm a little white ginger kid, but let's keep going. As a parent, Miss King positioned herself in an area that is known for where these prospective jurors will be present. It is highly inappropriate for Miss King or any other party to place themselves in a position position where their conduct could have any impact on the jury. Positioning herself at the juror parking garage and crying is a clear attempt to manipulate or influence potential jurors returning for attorney questioning. Oh, here we go. So they're saying that she is trying to fuck with the jurors' heads and she's crying and it's a whole big act is what they're saying. Wow. Big accusation. Think about how big of a clown show this case is. Prosecutor kicked off the case. Now apparently the defendant's mother could be fake crying outside of the juror's parking garage. What is this case, bro? Furthermore, juror 349, so I think this is it's a different juror from the first one, informed the state that while walking into the courtroom and while seated in the courtroom with her fellow jurors, Miss King made it a point to try and make intense eye contact with her. She described this behavior as someone clearly trying to get her attention and speak with her eyes. What is going on? Miss King was giving her a death stare? What? She was dead ass giving her a death stare. That's interesting. Juror 349 interpreted Miss King's behavior as a way for Miss King to try and approach the juror later, which was extremely uncomfortable, indicating Miss King was seated quite close to her, and that is why she could see her while seated in the courtroom for questioning. Miss King's behavior as non-verbal communication is completely improper. This issue is what the state raised as a major concern at the beginning of the second trial, and that is why there are heightened security protocols in place. Despite these heightened security protocols, security concerns have arisen regarding improper jury contact and attempted jury tampering only 2 days into the trial. Wow. This is just a shit show. This whole case is a complete and utter shit show. I talked to Melly's mom recently on Instagram and she has no issues with how I cover the trial and anything, but if she was really putting on an act, it's kind of funny, but it's wrong. Like, she shouldn't be doing that. But if she wasn't putting on an act and she was like emotional, she probably should be in a private setting. In my opinion, she shouldn't be doing that where jurors could see her, obviously. Miss King, if you're watching this, don't do that. I saw her post that she was like not allowed at jury selection one day, but then she was able to go back, I think. Like on her story, she said she was allowed back. So I don't know if the state ever got what they wanted with this situation. The state is asking the court to conduct an inquiry of all pre-qualified jurors, as the court and all parties are aware that Miss King was also in the hallway during the first day of jury selection. So they're saying she potentially could have been doing the same thing during the first day. It was previously placed on the record by the defense counsel October 24th that Miss King showed up on day one of the jury selection was not permitted in the courtroom due to the lack of seating. So they're saying day one there was no seat for her, but she stayed in the hallway. So now they start citing different cases in Hutchinson versus State, and then in Smith versus State in Florida 2009. Defendant's mother said, "God bless you," to 70 potential jurors assembled in the hallway. And the defendant moved to strike veneer. The court ruled the trial court acted appropriately by questioning the juror panel to determine who had heard the comment or whether the comment would affect their ability to be impartial. The court entered a written order that Smith's mother was not to have any contact with jurors, not to enter the building unless called as a witness, and not come within 1,000 feet of the building. Given the magnitude and nature of this case, the trial court did not abuse its discretion in imposing the security measures that Smith contends prejudiced him. In another case in 1994, someone was passing the jury in the hallway and uttered the word guilty. Upon learning of the comment, the judge investigated the incident and individually questioned the jurors. The jurors stated that the comment had not affected their ability to be fair and impartial. Okay, so they're just citing cases where shit happened outside of the courtroom, just in the courthouse area, and the judge had to figure out what to do. If I got called to court for a murder case and I saw the defendant's mom crying, you would have to be a really soft person for that to truly affect how you would put your verdict in for the case. Like, you'd have to be soft as shit. Like, obviously that has nothing to do with the case. Any mother for both sides, the victims and the defendant's going to be emotional. You have to look at the evidence presented to you, bottom line. So I get what the state's doing. I understand that they're trying to, you know, pretty much get Miss King out of the fucking courtroom. I get it. She shouldn't be doing that. They should just tell her not to fucking cry in front of other people. Period. Don't talk to the jurors. Don't even look at them too. That's what they should tell her. State requests the court enter a written order that Miss King is not to have contact with the jurors, not to enter the building, not to come within 1,000 feet. Okay. State requests at the very least Miss King be prevented from attending any further days of jury selection. Furthermore, should Miss King feel the need to enter the courthouse or parking structures, the state requests that she be required to check in with the BSO, Sheriff's Office. Jesus. Of course, requested as any further inappropriate conduct would also be considered contempt of court. Miss King has already gone through the trial process once and is aware of the court's instructions regarding behavior around jurors, and yet she still found a need to stand in the exact area jurors park and cry as they walked by. The appearance of impropriety alone requires a hearing, and due to her behavior, the requested sanction should be imposed. 6 individuals on behalf of the defendant will be appearing in court on jury selection. The last row in the gallery has been reserved for them, and the state requests an empty buffer row between the defendant's family and the friends and potential jurors due to the concerns the state has expressed regarding the sanctity of the jury selection process. This is basically the state trying to get Melly's mom to not do any more fuck shit. not look at jurors in any way. Apparently she was staring one down and crying near their parking lot where she had no business being, apparently. Who knows if she was parked there, but I doubt it. I don't know. I understand why they're doing this though. I get it. They don't want the jurors to see that. But if I was a juror and saw that, I'd just be like, yeah, of course she's crying. I mean, her son's fighting for his life. But also the victims' families, I feel bad for the victims' families too. It's just natural to feel bad for both sides in this situation. A lot of people would say they don't feel bad for Melly's mom whatsoever, but you know, I have a little bit more of a heart than the average person. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Jury selection is just going to keep going in throughout November, so I'll keep updating you guys. Hopefully the motions happen. There's a lot of motions they have to go through, so hopefully that's streamed at some point next month. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Love you boys. Peace out.